you don't mind, I will give the pitch or the keynote in English, but I understand French without any problem, but I don't practice too much. So if there is any question, feel free to do it in English or French as you want. I will try to reply in French, but if not, I will switch to English. This panel was initially shared with the BPI, the public bank from France, but yesterday they basically quit the presentation, so I will be doing it alone, but I would like to keep it very interactive. Anyone that is interested to get a copy of the presentation can contact me after, or can contact me on LinkedIn, and I would be happy to share the presentation. Is quite long, so I don't think I will have time to finish it because there is a lot of resources, and I also mixed with another presentation that I gave last week in Netherlands about international funding and expansion, and I thought that could be something interesting for maybe some of the startups or the audience. I have the PDF I can share with you, or just contact me whenever you want. So I like always start to giving thanks to the people that invite me to come because obviously they are the ones that help me to come here. Especially Lucian from Alegria Tech that has been the one managing the whole relationship and very helpful in the whole process. That is my myself and my social network profiles. I try to use always the same username that is Miguel 34 Martin. The 34 is for Spain. Miguel Martin is a quite common name in Spain, so if you try to find me only with Miguel Martin in LinkedIn, it's going to be tricky because there is like John Smith in English or something like that. Okay, so a little bit about me. I have specialized myself in connecting global initiatives that doesn't have any presence in Spain. And so from the last 6, 7 years, I have been the representative of the World Business Angel Investment Forum. I will explain a little bit about of this initiative. 3 years ago, I joined Stargrant, establishing the chapter in Malaga. And 2 years ago, I became the lead national partner for entrepreneurship workout. That if anyone is interested, in that is what I have been doing in different fields like mentor, jury, investor, advisor, different things. The mentorship side is maybe the most interesting one, collaborating with United Nations in the starts, promoting also very strongly no-code tools, no-code as a way for doing faster, cheaper, simple MVPs for validating ideas. That is a couple of hours that I received about that. What is the forum? For those that want to go to know a little bit more, it's not updated. It's the last infographic we have, but now we are in 135 countries. We have more than 1,500 members in all these countries, and we have established a fund of 10 million for investing in startups in early stages. Me personally, that is something new. I have been gathering interest from my network, not only in World Business Angel Forum, but in other places that I know about investors with a special interest in no-code solutions and no-code based startups. And we have, I'm very happy to tell you that we are launching the No-Code Angels, and it's going to be the first international network of angel investors focusing on no-code projects. So the idea is gathering special expertise, not only because we invest in the early stages, we try to use the concept of smart money, so not only providing capital, but also providing expertise, know-how, networking. The idea is gathering different profiles of people with interest in no code, providing that how to say expertise and feedback and advice to potential no code funders. The same thing for entrepreneurship World Cup. Maybe if any of you, I don't know if there is founders here, but this is a quite interesting initiative because every year the winner get $1 million donation. It's not investment, so there is no equity dilution or there is no equity free equity free. And if you want to know who is leading the chapter in France, because I think most of the people here will be from France or any other country, you can contact me. I will put you in contact so you can compete to become like the product representing the French ecosystem in the global final. The global final this year is going to be in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia in March, and top 100 global startup will be invited, fully all the expenses covered. The winner get $500,000, the second a quarter of a million, the third $150,000, and there is a special prize also for social impact startup. Startup can imagine, so no need for. So starting to talk about the topic, I'm going to try to go. I prefer to leave time for questions. If there is no questions, I will continue with the presentation. But if you have any thing that to comment, please stop me or raise your hand, and I will be happy to comment with you. So for me, I discovered no code during COVID. We can say in the summer 2020. Bill, between you and me, at the beginning, I thought that was this is too good to be true. So the one thing that convinced me that really was something real here is that GitHub founder is one of the most active no-code evangelists. So I thought, okay, if this guy that is managing the how do you say the one of largest coders communities and platforms is so interested in no-code, makes sense to to be there. And he is, by the way, Ukrainian. Later, I will say that I am also supporting and Ukrainian entrepreneurs. We established a foundation and we create a website with using no code as a platform. So we have been now we are trying to use no code for also impact investment projects. So that is as I am commenting all this info, and if anyone wants to have the details, more than happy to share it. And but there is much more information when I was preparing for the presentation. So this is basically about how in the last maybe 2-3 years, no code grows exponentially, not only for interest but also users, solutions. Obviously, investors follow the trend, and more investors are interested in the investment. That is, you have possible to find plenty of these mappings. I just that is interesting thing when I discover no code and I start to see using no code for I don't know building landing pages, websites, mobile apps, market automation. That the typical thing that when you start to be involved with no code, you come to your mind. But it's interesting that many how do you say deep tech solutions are also starting to use no code. For example, artificial intelligence. We have a couple of samples of cybersecurity in the summit here. That for me is striking how no code is progressing. Is starting to how to say to provide solutions for more we can say more complex or more deep tech technologies. And, so it's going to be the potential in the next years is going to be huge. So that is a survey I found about how no code startups are how to say funding themselves. bootstrapping is how to say, the most popular way. And by the way, even if I am an investor myself, if you can make bootstrapping, go bootstrap. So you don't need to, investors if you are able to generate your own revenue. I don't. I know the Silicon Valley mindset is that you have to jump from round to round, but first, this is how to say, it's not so good for the founders because they are diluting, and I will be talking later. As much important as finding the right investor is negotiating the right terms. So one of the advices that I would like to give you is that in case that you are funding or looking for how to say investment, obviously don't take the first investor. Maybe the first is the good one, but compare and check what that investor can provide to you, especially if you are in early stages where investor, in my opinion, should be also supporting and becoming like an advisor or mentor to the startup. By the way, I found some no-code startups that I don't know how many of you know landscape.vc. No one? Okay, that is a new, I found like 4 or 5 projects that is about anonymous scoring or rating of investors. So it's that I think is
landscape. Yes.
Yeah, that is quite necessary, I think, because like the same that investor has to select the right startup. Startup should also select the right investor, and so it's good that good investors are promoted by funders and bad investors are highlighted by funders also for to be avoided. Because there is, like in any other community, there is good and bad and some average. So that project in particular is built, I think, with soft, and later I found like a BC guide or something like that. So if you put alternative to landscape.bc, you will find other similar projects. So what I was commenting you, find the right investor that, in my opinion, should be able to provide not only capital but networking expertise and so on. And also be careful about. There is one slide later that I will be talking about that. Be careful about negotiating the right terms. So because if not, you are going to have a big stone in your feet, sorry, in your shoe in the future, and it's going to make more and more difficult to rise new rounds if you have something that is like a red line or alarm for the future investors, especially when you jump from business angels to VCs and funds. Well, that is also right. So I found this article about 20 pros and cons of an investor see on no-code development, especially for MVP and startup. It's an article from Bubble about that the ones, the 3 points, three bullet points initially are my personal view. I think that when I see no code, when I discovered the first thing that came to my mind was, okay, this is great for non-technical funders. That sometimes there is a bottleneck in that a lot of solo entrepreneurs that want to go ahead with their idea, but they don't have a co-founder with a technical background. So now it's possible for that entrepreneurs to develop at least the initial MVP. At least for me as an investor, if you have two alternatives, one that is coming with a founder that is coming with a PowerPoint, another one that is coming with a no-code MVP with the initial users, some feedback, user experience, problem detected, that kind of thing. Obviously, I'm going to be investing in the second one and has been already testing the idea and not just a PowerPoint. So cheaper, faster, simpler MVPs. By the way, I'm launching an acceleration program for for startups and will be only, how to say, with their MVP with no code. So if anyone is interested to talk more detail later, I can give you some info. That will be in South Spain, in Malaga, where I live, together with the Andalusian regional government. So as I was commenting later, empowering tech founders and more the same thing, validating ideas with real user experience and versus PowerPoint. And the article in Babylon will say more or less the same things that you can read. Yeah. So you have samples of startup. I use Bubble because as a sample, because I imagine that there is the same info from other tools, but I found this one that they have already a portfolio of startup that has been using Bubble for building their MVP and raising funds from different investors. That is an interesting thing, and I found when I was preparing this presentation, this is a newsletter from the no code, low code community, and this sending every month information about funding rounds that has been closing related to no code and low code. Okay. So if anyone, I already registered this low code feature. And super. Okay, the same thing for that is some market trends that I found about vendors in the code platforms, and maybe this is more interesting.
It's just for run B or
sorry?
Is it written run B?
No, that was an example of
Okay.
another, how to say, this is and well, there is a market gap of, and they got 70, it's just an example of a 70 million funding round.
Okay, but when they sell after, it's what's from the group, like C.
Personally, I see more potential for presidency. That is first because I'm an angel investor. I'm not a VC or a fund. I really like to be involved with the startup I invest, so I focus on that particular field. I have seen that many of the startup here that they are already in another stage, Series A, B, C. I imagine that obviously it's much easier to get money once you how to say you can show KPIs traction to investors. In my opinion, the hardest part is when you don't have users or you have not validated your idea or generated revenue. So that is the one that the part that we focus more in. And that is, well, you can see how investment in low code, no code is growing. Particularly no code is impressive. How to say how the rate that has been growing in the last 2 years. Okay, so
Low code is
low code is similar because I'm not a technical person. I try to focus more in no code, but when I talk with technical people, they see even more potential in low code. But I imagine them.
With those numbers that you had, is it startups which are using no code to build their product, or is it people who are building platforms?
I think that this one in particular is about investment in no code and low code solutions.
Okay.
So I think it's difficult to track if, for example, if your startup is using Bubble for building a startup and you don't say that you are building in Bubble, I mean, nobody knows that you are using Bubble or any other tool.
Sure.
So that is more tricky. I think that these numbers are only for how to say investments in no code and low code. Okay, similar thing. And all of them they show this skyrocket. How to say jockey stick and rule of investors. And that's basically because I happen to share the time with the BPI guys. So now you have time, but the extra for you is that that is uh, that gives you the how to say some extra stuff. I was talking last week in Netherlands in the international venture builder summit and the startup factories and startup studio gathering. I personally believe that these kind of acceleration programs are going to use. Well, uh, they were already using Nocode more and more for building their how to say their serial um, uh, the, the pipeline of their startup MVPs. So well, I already talked about the smart money. I think that this is the right uh, especially in the early stages, the right point that you should try to define. I am a great believer in cross-border investment in verticals. So it's not the how do you say, it's not the most common thing because normally business angel network are organized geographically. So you have, I imagine, Paris business angels, maybe north of France business angels and France business angels and European business angels. But in my opinion, if you are looking for the right investor, it doesn't care if your investor is doing network or not. What really is important for you, if it is investor, is investing in the same industry, business model, if he can provide it. And if that investor live in Australia or Latin America, but really provide you real value, it's much more interesting than meeting to take a coffee with you. If you can get both, obviously it's even better. But if you have to choose, I think that take the value, not the proximity to the investment. So I have been always promoting vertically focused investor groups in tourism. My background is in real estate and tourism. I continue, how to say, disinvesting or selling my real estate portfolio for investing in startups. So that obviously I have a special, how to say, interest or for prop tech, travel tech, creative technologies. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, you see what are the industries where I normally invest. But that is another advice I gave you, and I think I put here or in the next slide. If you approach an investor, always try to get to show him that you have read, I don't know, the LinkedIn profile or find some info about him on internet. So if you are a, I don't know, health tech, biotech startup, and you know that it's not my expertise. So if you approach me, you can start your message saying, okay, I have seen that you are not investing in health tech, and anyway, I would like to get your feedback in my startup, and you know other investors in that particular field. If I am investing in the field that you are developing your startup, you can change the message and say, okay, I have seen that you have been speaking in, I don't know, international travel tech summit. My startup is in that field. I would like to be in touch with you. Normally, it's better if you approach investor for getting advice first, and once you develop the relationship with investor, you can ask for money. But asking for money from, as I receive, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 proposals every week. Uh, they send me, no, we are a blockchain, crypto, whatever, and we are raising 5 million. And I think that you should not meet this opportunity. Okay, but I don't know you. You contact me telling me that you are closing in 2 weeks. You want that I take how do you say, that is not good at all. So, and in last week, for example, the people that other people that was talking was planning their rounds with 1 year and a half time frame in advance. So, if you don't have how to say liquidity or cash flow in your company for 1 year and a half, especially now that the whole economic situation changed, and we are not looking. That is another thing that I say here. We are looking now for camels, not unicorns, meaning that we are looking for startups that are able to generate revenue, and I think Nocode could be perfect for that, and manage very well the resources. How to say so? Instead of being asking for money and money and money and growing the how to say the round bubble, say, try to bootstrapping, try to uh, show the investors that you are able to generate revenue and or at least that you have users and you have KPIs. That is a perfect scenario. So the first criteria for investing is always the team and any kind of investor. So more than the idea, more than the product, the team is the most important. Okay.
Do you see any preference between solo founders and group founders, like co-founders?
Normally, investors doesn't like don't like solo funders or solopreneurs. But I think that no code is a very good tool for solo founders or solopreneur to validate idea and go to other potential co-founders with something more real than just a PowerPoint. So it's easier to bring talented people with you for than if you show them the same as investor, not only a PowerPoint, but some uh, users on this kind of.
That's actually how I started using Double, and that's how I could validate the need and find my co-founder.
But at the end of the day, it's using common sense because if you have like how to say something that is just something on paper, or you have something that is real and working on that, it doesn't make it's totally different. So well, that is the major points. Anonymous angel, what I was saying before. Another point is if you are looking for your first round pre-seed, very early stages, try to delay valuations. Normally, it's how to say a bottleneck or a conflict between the entrepreneur, founder, and the investor. So, it's very, especially when you don't have something real to talk about. So, somebody say no. I know that similar company in Silicon Valley was valued 5 million. Okay, but you are not in Silicon Valley and you don't have the numbers of that company. So, it's better if you use safe or convertible notes and you postpone valuation to a point where you can have some hard numbers or real how to say data for defending your valuation with the potential investor. Okay. Well, all the from that is some resources that I found that could be interesting for you. I think for what I can see here, uh, just maybe I'm pretty sure that all of you know the typical documents that you should approach an investor is a one pager. I prefer one pager than investor deck for a first contact. So just one page. You only always have like 5-10 minutes to read one page and it's a summary. You don't disclose too much information if you are worried about. I am myself a lawyer. Never signed an NDA. I don't believe in them. I don't think that they are going to be make any use. So one pager, send basic info to the investor, and if there is an interest, later send the investor deck. And I can, or if you want to take that is the second slide of the one pager. And basically, the investor deck is the one pager developed. It's one slide for every point or something like that. That is a comparison of the different investor deck templates in the, and that is what I was commenting before. So what you should put in your term sheet, or if you receive a term sheet from an investor, how to say things that you have to be worried and hard or that should not be there, try to avoid. Okay? And that's it, basically. So I hopefully there is questions.
you feel comfortable sharing a couple of your no-code portfolio investments as an angel investor?
I'm very honest. I don't have any no code. That's the reason I am.
Yeah.
That's the reason I establishing this. How to say no code network. If you want, I can share other startups that they have not been using no code. Maybe because they don't know no code or because I said a few years ago no code wasn't so popular. But hopefully that will change. And maybe if they invite me next year, I will say a couple of things. Sure. Okay. Um,
Yeah. How do you combine your company when you invest in your code through the round? Like you're going for seed or pre-seed, and then they're going for Series A, B, C, and what do you do? You reinvest then, or you want to give from
well, that depends. But personally, I am not a billionaire. So when a startup start to go to rounds that I cannot cover, normally I use it like how to say get liquidity for investing in new how to say younger early stage. That always depend how big are your pockets and how much you believe in the how to say the potential growth of that particular startup. In general, angel investors don't follow up after we can say Series A, or if you continue, you are diluting yourself a lot, which is not bad. If you are in a unicorn and you have 0.1% of the company, maybe you have several million when the company is how to say big exit, which is at the end of the day for us the real KPI is the multiple, how many times how to say you multiply your investment. Because I don't know if well, I imagine you know that this is like around 70% of the startups that we invest, we lost all the money. Between 10 to 20% of the startups we multiply from 1 to 10 times the investment that we made, and normally only 10% of the startups that we invest give more than 10 times the investment we made. And in the average, how to say, return on the at least in the in the people that I know is that we are expecting about 25% return on the whole basket of the whole portfolio. We can say year by year, which is huge. I don't know time. How we? It's okay. 5 minutes. Okay. Any other one? Any other question?
You mentioned the difference between being a locally focused angel and being cross-border. Do you see any trend on that? Like, is that something that is improving? Is something that is actually
Well, I
getting?
think it's growing because it's almost non-existent. So when you are in zero, you cannot grow. Cross-border investment is like no code. It's something that is totally new and it's growing and growing. And so, how to say, I think it's the future of how to say investing because as I was commenting, how to say the expertise is in one industry, one technology, one business model. It's not in the how to say. It's not in the. It's not in because you are in the same city or in the same country or whatever.
So I have a question regarding some opportunities that you see within the local market. I mean, obviously the local market is growing, and we see a couple of great startups launching. But I would be interested, where do you see the biggest potential and maybe also a gap for future for the next no-code startup? So to say?
I think no code is useful everywhere, um, but especially for non how to say for secondary markets, meaning if you live in Silicon Valley, New York, I don't know, London, Hong Kong, where you have a huge investment community, a huge, how do you say, startup community, uh, obviously you can use no code and make sense, but it makes even more sense if you don't live in these places. If you live like I live in Malaga, that is not Madrid, it's not Barcelona. For founders or entrepreneurs in Malaga, it's much difficult to get an investor because the investor community is not so big in these places. If you live in Africa or Southeast Asia or Latin America, it's even more difficult. So there is where I see the huge, huge potential for example, one of the things that I'm doing with the Andalusian regional government is trying to develop, how to say, cooperation and development projects. And they are going to continue, I don't know, building schools, doing water treatment, that kind of thing. But uh, more and more international cooperation agencies are starting to promote entrepreneurship in the emerging markets or emerging. And I think it's the right thing to do because if you can build a no-code school, I don't know, Tanzania or in Bolivia, and you can teach to the collectives that are totally out of technology in these places to build their idea. Maybe it's not a startup and it's going to be a unicorn, but maybe you are solving the life of 10 families. And for me, that is good enough. I don't think that every single startup should be aiming to be a unicorn. If you can solve your life and you improve the, how to say, the society you live and it's more than I, for example, I'm in mentoring the Cuban entrepreneurship ecosystem, uh, which is very, very difficult. I'm also mentoring the United Nations Women Innovation Program for Arab region. So I was mentoring startup female founders in Syria, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, places like that. So my goodness, when you see that kind of project, you don't check if that is going to be a unicorn or not. They are, it's as you said, you are changing the life of one person, one family, one. So that is where I see that the no code could maybe become bubble or any other, how to say, of the big names that we know and we should be aspiring to get our company to be that. But if not, you can, maybe you are artisan, a craftsman person in I don't know in Central America, but you don't need to hire a website agency and you create your own e-commerce site and you sell your products and you are making a much more margin and profit from your work and you don't have to share it with somebody that is going to take maybe 50% of your revenue if you don't have to do this kind of thing.
Could you tell us a bit more about the no-code accelerator you mentioned?
Yeah.
Double for startups in Malaga.
Okay. Yeah, I signed an MOU with the local and regional authorities. And the idea is building a non-code innovation hub, and it's going to be a hybrid of academy, co-working, and acceleration program. So the idea is every 3 months having a new cohort of people arriving and getting, how to say, basic and medium no-code skills. And once they finish this initial phase, they will have like a second level if they want to continue. The idea is offering them to find a job using no code, becoming freelance in one particular field if they want to go deeper in that particular tool or content or product. And the third line that is obviously the most interesting for me is that you want to become an entrepreneur. So we help you to use your initial no code skill for building your MVP. We accelerate your or incubate initially and accelerate your project. So the idea is impacting 1,000 uh, people in the whole year for the no-code community, we can say on total, and as investing in at least five startup every quarter. So 20 startups per year. Uh, not all the startups that will follow the program will be invested, but initially that is the goal. If there is plenty of startup and good startup, uh, money should not be, until now, money has not been a problem. I know when you are a founder and trying to raise money and raise funds, you don't have the same idea, but money is there. But you have to presenting the project in the right way, how to say, having the right, providing the right information to the investors. And obviously now it's more difficult than maybe 6 months ago because the whole economic situation is changing, I think, for better in some way because before there was a bubble in startup funding and people was, to me, some people come with a PowerPoint and say, no, my company is valued in 3 million. PowerPoint 3 million. You know, it's, I think, okay, how is, but it's because some people rise, I don't know, 50 million and they have to, it's different when you raise a fund and you are investing third party money than when you are investing your own money. That is, you are much more, how to say, careful how because obviously if you lose the money, it's yours, it's not somebody else.
When do you know when you have to go for an investor? You know, when is it the right time? When you begin to earn money? When you have no money to invest on your own? When
I think that there is different criteria, but the main one is when you already have validated your idea and you cannot grow as fast as you can because you don't have the resources. I think that that is the best situation. If you can show, if you can go to an investor and say, okay, we have built this, we have been able to get, I don't know, 10,000 users, but we could grow, we are growing, I don't know, 25% every month or every year, but we could be growing 4 times faster if we get the right resources. That is the perfect situation from the founder's point of view. Obviously, there is more cases. If you are a biotech startup or venture and you need, how to say, resources for research and development, that particular cases, I will go more for public funding, especially in Europe, and you can get like a grants from European Union and that kind of thing. It's not so, how to say, it's not, we focus more in B2C or B2B startups, but in, how to say, we normally don't invest in the research and development because the money there can be successful or can be generating, how to say, that's it. Anything else? Okay, so you have my details. If anyone want to be in touch, just contact me. If anyone want to get feedback of any project in the future, just contact me. I always have like time for reading a one-pager or deck and giving feedback. And normally having half an hour. Normally, I prefer that you send me the info first, and we have the Zoom or call once I read the one pager or the deck, because if not, I duplicate all the meetings, because the first one is like the intro, and later you have a second one for commenting the one pager or the deck. Sadly, I don't have time for duplicating, how to say, meetings with everyone that is approaching me, and I don't like to say no, but sometimes you need to do it. Okay.
Thank you.